Well, a very happy Wednesday afternoon to you. Happy lunchtime, West Ham fans. Let's react to some of your comments. Yes, everybody, Russ on the West Ham Network. Hope you're safe and well. Hope your Wednesday's going well. Been down in the Budden household. Oh, absolute scenes. Anyway, so as we always try to do once a week or so, it's not particularly, routine, regimented, but we just look at some of your comments over the last few days and react to them because, the West Ham Network community are fantastic. They give us so much food for thought, back and forth debates, and it's very much your channel. So it's great to find out what you're saying and your thoughts and your opinions and views on particularly David Moyes. Unsurprisingly, that's what we're going to be talking about today, and a bit about Sullivan, a bit about Tim Steidten. We've got about 10 comments as per usual. We go through and we just talk about them. So let's start with the first one. Let's start the first one. What have we got today? We've got from Cockney Bear. Thank you, Cockney. Regardless of which side of the argument you fall on, I'm Moyes out. The lack of definitive decision reeks of weak leadership, but that is not a surprise. Sullivan should have either backed him or paid him off at Prague. If there goes on in the summer, then I'm convinced our season will just peter out. You're preaching to the choir, my friend Cockney Bear. I did a whole bloody show about it yesterday morning. Yes. This decision, this circus we're in now, this problem we're having now, and it seems like in answer to the show about yesterday, like Steidten versus Moyes, and and I'm sure that people are of the board are sort of taking sides and things. That's all, sort of in this sort of civil war, Avengers civil war, or how it's playing out to be, is because of lack of decisions made in the summer, where it's sort of been pushed to the wayside. We'll deal with this, we'll deal with this. And by then, you get a situation where everyone's unhappy, regardless of what happens to the decision now. If the decision was made in the summer, last summer, then we could all live by it. It's a decision made by people. I mean, they own the club, so they decide what's happening with the manager, really. And it seems that there's been, because of the lack of decisiveness in terms of that particular decision, it's impacted everyone. It's impacted us as fans. It's the players, the playing staff, Moyes himself, Steidten, Sullivan. It's been played out in the media, and it just doesn't help anyone. It doesn't put us in a good light at all. If you're like a new manager looking at coming to West Ham, or a first team coach, all you got to do is spend 2 minutes listen to Talk Sport, looking at Twitter, or X, we call it now, looking at Facebook, looking at YouTube, and you'd run a mile. I would. Thinking, Jesus, what's going on here? You'd have to be desperate to join us. That's what it seems at the moment, because of everything, all this infighting. It's ridiculous. But Cockney, thank you. Cockney Bear, thank you for your comment. We've got quite a few to get to, 10 or so, I think. Steve the Weave, great name. I'll tell you what's going on at our club, young Russell. Spelled my name wrong. It's 2 S's, 2 L's. My lad, we no longer know the difference between fantasy and reality. It's like being back at school, where you were chosen to join the you are either chosen to join the playground bullies, or you'd rather hold the dinner ladies' hands. None of this is likely to change until we all decide to grow up and move on, shake hands, and promise to be nice to each other. I agree with that last sentiment. And it seems people have taken sides. It's not just the fan base, but I think internally as well. We've read that Baroness Brady is very in favour of keeping Moyes. Steidten's not. Be interesting. We don't know what Krasinski would think, but apparently David Gold was always a big advocate of David Moyes. And obviously, unfortunately, he's no longer here. So by the sounds of it, Sully's probably more likely to favour Moyes and not favour Moyes. And we've spoken about the business decisions of how it's made. And some people obviously can't fathom how possibly David Moyes has earned a new contract. But from a and when we spoke about the business and looked at the numbers, it's about, in terms of West Ham, in terms of the money, yes, getting aspirations to getting into the Champions League and stuff, you get more money, but the chances are there's only 4 out of 20. There's, what's that, 5% chance? No, not 20% chance. 20%, yeah, 20% chance of getting in the Champions League each year. And they like the odds of staying. As I said, I believe it was Sean mentioned once that they always budget for 11th. But the trouble is, from this year to next year, the chances are we probably won't have European football. Or if we do, it's more likely to be conference football, which is some money coming in the club, but obviously not as much money as the Europa League, where we've already surpassed what we actually did throughout the whole conference, I believe. But yeah, it does seem like people having to take sides, and that's never a good thing. But thanks, Steve the Weave, great name. We got Adrian Whitfield, 6657. I believe 6655 was already taken. Still feel there's names being bandied around to scare those who are 50-50 into being careful what you wish for and supporting Moyes. If he leaves to Brentford, they will out Benitez as the next threat. It does seem that. I mean, Anton spoke about yesterday in terms of the shortlist, and it's not the most inspiring list of managers, is it? Indeed. It was the three. It was Steve Cooper, Potter, and Julian Lopetegui. Where's Paulo Fonseca? I thought he was on the list. But he's not on the list. Surely his resume, for me, is better than Steve Cooper's. Steve Cooper, who left Nottingham Forest 17th in the Premier League. Is that next level? No. Is it scaremongering? I think it might be, actually. I don't think that's the list. I think that's a list. And they are a list of all available managers. And there's probably a list of even more available managers if you think about it. Some of the Gattuso's just left, just been sacked to Marseille. Get him in. So that's what I mean. I think the list. I mean, I've tracked about 12 managers apparently we've been linked with, and that to me assumes that to me is a list for, if Moyes goes tomorrow, they're the ones that we'd have to pay any money to get in. But that's not the best way to do it. That's not going to progress us to the next level, surely. Lopetegui, I mean, he's got a fantastic resume, but he failed everywhere, really. Did get some good, decent football playing for Wolves, but then they didn't refuse to spend the money, and he walked away. What's going to happen to West Ham as well? Hello. Does anyone remember Ibrahim Osman? Hello. Is this on? So he ain't going to get much better here at the moment. And I wouldn't think someone like Lopetegui would favour someone like Tim Steidten telling him what to do. And I have the same feeling with possibly, maybe not Steve Cooper or Potter, because Potter's used to working in director of football. But we know Potter's someone they don't fancy, because I remember when we were linked with him before. And again, it was definitely something Sean said from his source. We all know who his source is. That he said something like, Potter was only successful because of the supercomputer at Brighton. And that sort of probably is all you need to know about their perception of Potter. But I agree. I think there's definitely something to scare people potentially. Long. We have to go longer. What's the word? Comment from Damien. Right, here we go. Russ, Moyes has done everything in his power to block Steidten so that he cannot shine. He knows exactly what he's doing. And West Ham fans, tell me this: how in God's name did it take Kudus 8 games to start after arriving on the back of a hat trick? Though JWP arrives from a side who are captained to the bottom and relegation, and he's unquestionably picked every week. How is Zuma starting over Mavropanos at this stage? Why was it even a question that Alvarez could be the one to be replaced in the 11 by Phillips when it was clear on the day he was the best option in CMF? Can anyone tell me that JWP at 28 years old, again, who was part of a side who finished bottom in the league, is £30 million spent, then a 24-year-old Fofana who's breaking into France's first team? Sullivan's lost his bottle with the Osman deal, and to be actually did sound as if he got a bit out of hand. But I can see with my two own eyes what's happening. Get Moyes out. He spent the last God knows how long putting his own reputation before the club, and even that's crumbling. Sack him. Lost the players, lost the fans. Hasn't won a game all year. Get rid of him and let Johnny Heitinger take the team until the summer and push all the powers into Steidten's court for the summer ahead. He has already started laying the foundations. Look, we know as of, I mean, it was all come out yesterday about Mortis, Steidten, and obviously Maximilian Khan. It does seem he's putting together this, what's it called, like this harem, this recruitment harem. No, I think that's a fair point, Damien. I think everything you say, I always think you're very, in terms of when you come on and talk or your opinions in the comments in the videos, always come across very well. For me, I agree with most of that. I think. I mean, someone like Fofana. But then again, I was looking at Yusuf Fofana. No other club has gone in for him. And a lot of the players we say we really, really want, no other club ends up going in for him. And so I don't understand, Yusuf Fofana is hot property and looks really good and looks really, really good, really powerful and could do a great job. But I don't know why none other clubs have gone in for him. I just don't understand why. It's not, I just don't get it. If it was that hot property, then Liverpool have snapped him up and people like that, but they haven't, and I don't understand why. As I said, I think there was definitely compromise over the summer transfer window in terms of here's my signings, here's your signings, and I think actually originally there was definitely pushback from Moyes. That was quite clear, but then, in all honesty, I think he's looked at the likes of Kudus, Alvarez. I mean, they're now the backbone of our side, and so it's almost like he's not relinquished, but it's almost like, yeah, you do know what you're talking about. I agree he's lost the fan base, a large percentage of the fan base. Obviously, he hasn't won a game all year. It's not good. And to be honest, I can't think of many other managers who would survive that, in all honesty. But we had the same issue last year, and he still survived, and that's the trouble. And I agree. I just don't understand why these power struggles at West Ham. Steidten was brought in to be the director of football, to be the football guy, and just let him do it. Just let him do it. By all accounts, and again, it's something I read on I remember a while ago when Steidten was first sort of introduced to West Ham fans. It was Krasinski who suggested it. And, if that was the case, that maybe Sullivan's flexing his muscles to say, no, I'm still top dog here. And we know that, we spoke about yesterday, he's not, Steidten still doesn't have enough power on the board to make single decisions without going into collaboration and alliances with either Gold or the Gold family or Sullivan, which doesn't put him in a very good position, to be honest. Doesn't put the Gold family in a good position either. So it is very much Sullivan's way of the highway. It's just the way the shares are sold and distributed for that reason. And we know that it was Steidten, not Steidten, with Krasinski. We know Sparta Prague, obviously, they have a director of football there, currently former Arsenal player Thomas Radzinski. So that's obviously been working there for several years, and so he wanted to adopt that. And I think it has been successful, but neither side seems to want to relinquish power to the other side. But someone's coming to do a job, and he's not doing his job. So it must be very frustrating for Tim, not having the full control he was probably assumed. Or maybe it's taking time. Maybe, he's treading water and he's slowly building his side behind him, his team. So come the summer, it's all systems go. Who knows? Thanks, Damien. As per you, great comment. JJ John D. Let's get one thing straight. Good start. Good start. A strong start, John. Let's get one thing straight. What Moyes has done for West Ham, he brought stability to the club. Now Moyes is going, and we all know he will. This is what's going to happen. Europe no more. Bottom half, maybe even demoted. You're right. Let's get one thing straight. He has brought stability. He's bought stability, I think. Not brought, he's bought stability, I think. And yet we've got into Europe. We can't deny that fact. We can't deny the fact that we've had our best prolonged Premier League or First Division spell in terms of average league position. We've had two very good, two of our best league positions, and then we had a poor season last year. But obviously, that was somewhat sweetened by the Conference League. But I think now it's a case where is it that we want to carry on 8th, 9th, 10th? Yes, we're spending money money to be in the 7th spot, or would that? I mean, and again, I totally understand what people say. For me as well, it's like, would another manager come in and do the same thing and steady the ship? Quite possibly, but you don't know. But it's a gamble if you do, and a gamble if you don't. I always say that because it's true. Whatever happens will be a gamble, and you might pay off. You might hit red, or you might hit black. We just don't know. Hindsight's a great thing. I'd love to be here in looking back at this in 12 months' time, and whatever decision was made in the summer worked. But we can't. We don't know. Do it? We just don't know. Cheers, John. Scott Haxel 556. Look, I love David. Okay. And when the fans don't want him there, it's time to move on and retire and go around the world with his family and wife and family. I remember Harry saying he nearly had a mental breakdown at West Ham, and that's why pundits stick up for managers of clubs. And once you lose the fans, it's time to get a taxi home. I think losing the away fans is a bit of a stick in the ground, in all honesty. The away fans travel up and down the country. And that doesn't, and for one, I'm not saying that denotes they have special privileges or anything like that because they do that, but they do that obviously all the time, same as everyone's got their own opinion. But when you see the away fans turn, that's usually not very good, David. It's not very good. Same thing happened last year. Was it Fulham last year? The banners came out, if I remember. And he's always good. I mean, whatever happens, Moyes is going to go down with his history as a manager who's brought European success. He's brought a trophy to West Ham. He's brought European success. That will always be in the books. Same as Declan Rice will always be one of a handful of captains who have lifted trophies at West Ham. And that might be a point why pundits, particularly ex-manager pundits, tend to stick up for managers of other sides who aren't doing so well. For that is that reason, because they know the turmoil they're going through as a manager. Possibly. And again, we just, particularly ex-players and stuff like that. Although it does seem to be turning. I said the other day we had Graham Souness on. He was very, very sort of balanced in terms of why people were the way they were. I don't know why I pressed that button, but thank you, Scott, for your comment. Let's go for the next one. Only a few more to go. West Amsterdam. Very good. Not really. Don't know what it's in reference to. All club buyers see clubs as investment opportunities and are only in it for the profit. Normally, this means grinding clubs hurting towards insolvency. The Icelandics nearly sent the club hurtling towards bankruptcy. They did. The London Stadium decision was made before G&S bought. They had insider knowledge. The entire football system is heading towards insolvency. Don't be surprised when you see many clubs start bankruptcy proceedings, especially if interest rates remaining high. Do you know what? That is a point. There is a point. You'll see. I think when you start seeing championship clubs going into, it seems to be creeping up. So aside from like in the divisions, London Stadium thing as well. I mean, London Stadium, don't forget it was ours until bloody Barry Earn and Danny Levy got involved. It was ours already. Then we had to go to tender. Then we became, tenants rather than owners. It's true though. It's true. I think we go, why are they putting money in the club? And it's the same for anyone. It's their money. It's their money. They don't go into it for the love of the club. Very, very rare is there an owner that does that. They go in to make a profit, and so they want to try and do things always on the cheapest. And yeah, you're right. If they speculate to accumulate, but they have to spend hundreds of millions of pounds. We've spent, was it 450, 500 million pounds? Yes, we've got some of that back, but we've got European trophy and we've got European football. We didn't make a profit last year. We'll make a profit this year, but still, they're sort of, it's a level playing field. But yeah, no, I totally agree. Really interesting point. Thank you. West Amsterdam, great name. A few more to go. We've got Jesus, Neil. Here we go. War and Peace from Neil. Neil Fitzpatrick 8903. I'm hoping that with Steidten still appearing to be the building, his backroom team, that is indicated that the rumours about him leaving are just gossip. His comments have been part of a chess game approach. I agree. As a fan like you, I would love the club to come out and be honest, but I doubt there's much chance of that. Just because nothing has been announced, it doesn't mean that Sullivan hasn't not made his decision. As a guest, I would say the science is to keep things under wraps, either giving Moyes under the pretense that he may get a new contract, or that Moyes actually has a new contract sorted by Sullivan, but can't make it public. Then there is such hostility growing in the fan base. He won't dare broadcast until results have turned around. Sadly, I've given up on this season. My only hope is that first point proves to be the club direction. Again, we do not know, and I've spoken about the lack of transparency in terms of communication. It does reek of the first time Moyes took over and kept us up, and then wasn't offered a new deal after everything had happened, despite the fact he'd kept us up, and in essence saved us hundreds of millions of pounds. He then decided to go a different way and get Pellegrini in. And then he came back to save our season again, to save us from relegation. So I hope it's not a case of history repeating itself, because that's not fair on anyone. And despite the fact what people say, despite the fact how people think about him, he's given me a moment which I will cherish the rest of my life, and I always will. And same as you will, regardless of how you felt, you'll always remember that night in Prague. You'll always remember going back to Stratford and say, because you will, because I think Irish Tommy said, even if you're starving, a cracker will be a nice food or whatever. But it is that, but I'll take it. And I might never see West Ham winning it again in my lifetime. So be it. I just generally don't think they know what they're doing. I don't think there is a plan. I think there is half a plan. I think Nick was mentioning the other day, some of his sources that Steidten had already verbally agreed a deal with a young foreign-based manager. Might have done, might not have done, but that's just verbal. And he's still probably at a club. Otherwise, we'd have had him in now, probably. I don't know when the decision. I mean, they tried making a decision, didn't they? It was in October. I swear it was October, November. It's on TalkSport, then put on the BBC website that Moyes was having his contract renewed. It wasn't going to happen. And then it sort of got revoked. And I just didn't, was like, well, what? Okay, well, at least that's what I was saying to Joe today. We talked about it because I was sort of trying to piece it through to a non-West Ham sounding board. And she was like, why don't I just make a decision? And then you can work on that as work forward from that point. Exactly. And I just don't understand why not. But great point, Neil. Thank you. Yeah, I would hope it's the first point, to be honest. What's the point having him? And then what's the point letting him build his own staff, including his own brother, and handpick arguably one of the best analysts in the game to work for your club? That makes no sense if he's not going to get the full reins. What is the point? Someone said it's like having a Michelin star chef and getting the waiter to cook the dinner. Great. I love our analogies. From Mr. Ian Grant one. Thank you, Ian. I've backed Moyes' reservations about his disdain for bringing on young players, obsessing with players like Souček, who hasn't performed for more than one season, and destroying other players like Ben Rama by playing out of position. No finer evidence than the debacle against Arsenal when you put a right back on the left wing. Also, Zuma instead of Mavropanos. I've come to realise he manages like an accountant, playing it by numbers and percentages and risk averse. That is him in a nutshell, mate. The proof is his recent press statement that he would be happy with 15 points in the last 14 games. A poor return, but he imagines a safe one, not on attitude I can accept anymore. That was a strange comment. I need 5 more. Yeah, five wins or so. So it would be 15 points. You could get a couple of draws, maybe 20 points, maybe at those 14 games. But still, it's a weird number, which made it almost seem like it was his KPI. That was what he was told to get. 50 points. That's all you need this season to keep your job. That it just seemed a bit weird, didn't it? It seemed a bit strange. You're totally right. He's risk averse. He does, but he's been no different. He's been no different in their 1,000 games. He'll have the odd sporadic game where he just goes gung ho and he has temporary amnesia in terms of what he's, his normal playing style. But that's what he does, and that's why he gets the results, so to speak, in terms of maintaining Premiership revival. But we want more now, surely. I think we've built a foundation now. Unless there's going to be a real cataclysmic decline with a new manager, we're pretty much touch wood, not going to go down most seasons or be in the conversation. So we should be looking up rather than looking down. And yeah, no, I agree. It was a strange number to pick, which made me seem like that was his KPI from the ball. But we never know. We'll never know. And lastly, a lovely comment from Mark Blonde Rage. Good old Mark Blonde Rage 2776. Getting fed up with being told not to expect anything good as West Ham fans, saying we don't have a right as a fan. Personally, I'm self-employed and spend on average 3 to 4K a year supporting West Ham season tickets, travel, food, drink and merchandise. Pundits need to wake up. They get paid eye-watering amounts of money. It's okay for them. And maybe because they've been playing football, for most players will go in the game and then go straight into punditry. So they are planning to spend. They've been used to having lots of money from a very young age. I totally agree. You pay your money, you take your choice. If you don't like what the product is, you don't buy a product, do you? If it doesn't work for you, if it doesn't taste right, you won't buy it next time. But for something about football and something about your football club, it's almost like an abusive relationship. You keep going back thinking they'll change, and they won't change. They won't change. But you still go and buy the 3 shirts. You still go and buy the tickets. And I think most club owners, not just West Ham, I think most club owners take advantage of that fact. If you looked, when I go back and look at the video I did with all the business stuff, the line for match day income is pretty much the same every year. If we're in Europe, it's the same. If we're not in Europe, it's the same. Doesn't go up, doesn't go down. Not massively, marginally. Because we don't make any money really on the catering at the London Stadium. We make money on the match day on the tickets, but then we sell them quite cheap as well. Well, some of them are cheap, but in terms of the biggest percentage, it's the commercial. So it is retail and broadcast. So it is about getting the shirts and getting scarves and stuff like that. And you should have a right in terms of that's why. We hark back to the Arsenal game. You had people paid for their money for their ticket. They had a right to walk out at half time if they wanted to. Same as you saw if you watched a movie and it was shit and you wanted to, why bother? You could go and spend some more time with your family. Good luck to you. Good luck to you. Shouldn't mean you're a lesser fan than anyone else. Or you turned it off after half time. And if you're in, I don't know, you can get to the game or you're abroad or whatever. That's it. Fair enough. Fair enough. Because that's your right. That's your obligation, not your obligation. That's your prerogative. And I don't think being told, in terms of pundits, oh, you're not a real fan. They have no right to say that. Chris Sutton had no right to say that. 2 weeks, was it 2 games later? He was covering the Celtic game, slagging off Brendan Rodgers in terms of their style of football. That's what we were saying for the Arsenal game. But yeah, great point. Great point. Right, people spend a hell of a lot of money on their club, but the things they always will. They always will, and I think clubs take advantage of that, in my opinion, knowing full well that you're going to buy the kits. You're going to buy, fair play to, was it Brentford? Was it last year? Like kept the same kits for 2 years running. When was the last time that was heard of? I mean, it always used to be every 2 years, wasn't it? Some of these kits, this one here, I remember this BAC, they just changed the badge for Dagger and Motors, didn't they, for the 92-93 season? It's like so it was and then it went every year. Three kits every year. 3 kits every year. Mental. Although it does give Mrs. Budden something to buy me for Christmas, birthday, and Father's Day, I suppose. So that saves her the heartache of that. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for all your comments. As we do this every week or so. We mix up. Monday it's me, might be Anton next week, just to go for some comments and just feedback. Thank you. And again, thank you for all your comments. Keep an eye on the channel. We had Alex on it doing his TikTok takeover. I said it right this time. We had Holly doing a morning show talking about where we're dropping points. And tonight, I believe Jamie Talks doing the wrap up as well. So we'll have Hammer's headlines a bit later on as well. So take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith, my friends. And come on, you bloody irons. Irons!